Listeners of FM. Always a pleasure to be in your company on a Thursday afternoon speaking about health from a natural and integrated perspective. I have, of course, with me one of our senior consultants at Batson and Associates. Last week, I was fortunate to have Miss Karishma Ramdan. So this afternoon, actually have with me, sorry, Mr. Stefan. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you, Dr. Batson.
Good, good. When we're speaking about health, and especially health from a natural and integrated perspective, to the listeners of Freedom 106.5, and maybe persons who maybe just listening today, from your perspective, what do you usually see, or what experience do you usually get as relating to the clients that we have, especially as it relates to the blood analysis, magnetic resonance analysis, that type of thing?
All right. So as it relates to the magnetic resonance analysis, sometimes persons may come into the clinic and they may just come for a checkup.
Right.
However, the magnetic resonance analysis could pick up different indication from a cellular perspective and as it relates to the organs to give an indication as to what is taking place so the person could treat it before it becomes problematic as it relates to their health. In terms of the live blood analysis, the same thing applies. Sometimes persons will come in again for a checkup, basically, and when we look at the blood analysis from a microscopic perspective, we could identify if persons have issues with their hormones based on the shapes of their cells, digestive issues, stressing of the liver, of the kidneys, any cholesterol indications in the bloodstream. Not a quantitative report.
Report, right, good.
But you could get an indication of seeing what the cholesterol looks like, or even protoplasts, which is a gelatinous structure in the bloodstream of toxins and fat.
Right.
So those are things that we could pick up, and we could then recommend specific supplementation and proper diet to rectify these issues.
Okay, good. So the thing is, so with that being said, so I am someone who is hypertensive, right? How does a blood analysis now, based on what you say, because you mentioned you might see things like protoplasts, and I mean, from my experience as a practitioner, we know what protoplast looks like. So you have your red blood cells, which would be, let's say, the size of Tobago, and you actually have protoplast, which is actually going to be the size of Trinidad. Right. So the thing is, obviously, there is a significant size difference, and that in itself shows that that is something that is not supposed to be in the blood. So you find persons who may have experienced things like extreme problems with headaches, migraine headaches, cluster headaches, persons who may have issues associated with dizziness or what is referred to as vertigo, where you feel this unbalance. You may get up and you see the room or feel as if the room is spinning. I have known of persons who may have been driving, unfortunately, and they have gotten that experience where, they get this dizzy feeling, and obviously that could be problematic. It could be fatal, if it is you lose control of the vehicle, that type of thing. And more so at Batson and Associates, running multiple clinics, because we have diabetic clinic, we have a respiratory clinic, we also have rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune clinics. There are a lot of times you see persons who have those issues, and as you mentioned, when you do the blood analysis, you actually get the underlying aspect of what is going on. Now, the thing is, with that being said, of course, keep in mind the program is an interactive program. So if you have any questions, the questions may not necessarily have to do with what we're discussing today, but of course, anything to do with health or maybe product services that we offer at Batson Associates, you can feel free to do so. I'll just allow Third to remind you of those that contact information to do so, and then we'll continue. Third Base?
Yes, our numbers are 627-3223. That's 627-3223 and 625-2257. You could also WhatsApp us at 306-1065.
Good. So, of course, keep in mind too our contact information. We are located on the first floor of Money Talks building. That is Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. That number for Chaguanas, of course, is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. And of course, Debe being the corner of Ramsey Trace and the SS Erie Main Road in Debe. That number for Debe is 223-7515. Again, that's 223-7515. Keep in mind, we are live on our social media platforms, and you can get a lot of information on Batson Associates, who we are, where we are, what we do. A lot of testimonies there as well. So we are Batson Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson Associates TT. On YouTube, it's Batson Associates Trinidad, and on TikTok, it's Batson and Associates. Mr. Vialva, based on what it is you just said there, when you, because I, being someone trained in phlebotomy, sorry, knowing your, that type of thing, what would you say is the advantage of a blood analysis, or not necessarily advantage, but what are some of the pros that a blood analysis would give you as regards to when you're trying to determine issues in the human body?
Okay. So as it relates differences basically from a blood analysis and a laboratory testing is that the laboratory testing will give you a reference range.
Right.
So for example, if you were to do all right, so in terms of circulation, if you do a CBC report,
Right.
you would get different components in the CBC.
Right.
So you would get your hematocrit, your red blood cells, your white blood cells, your platelets, and all of those things, hemoglobin, etc.
Good.
If you do your live blood analysis, however, you will not get that aspect of report, but you would be able to see the different shapes and sizes of the red blood cells, which
Right.
could indicate to us that person may have or might be anemic at that time,
Right.
because of that hemoglobin concentration in the cells.
Good.
In addition to that, we could also pick up circulation issues, which the CBC can't.
Right.
All right. So we could also identify that, which could lead to hypertension, eventually.
Strokes,
Exercise,
aneurysms, those type of things.
Right.
Right.
So those are some of the differences there. And from a nutritional aspect, in terms of anemia, there's different causes of anemia.
Yeah. Types as well.
Different
types as well.
So what you could do, and what I also mentioned to persons that I would have dealt with, you always want to have enough raw materials in your diet to
Good.
produce a healthy blood cell.
Good.
All right. So a lot of greens. All right. A lot of foods that will give you that nutrition aspect of iron.
Right.
Okay. So those are things that persons want to consume on a daily basis just to prevent and regulate balance in the human body.
In the human body. Good. Based on this discussion of being anemic, low blood count, I mean, that's something that we deal with quite successfully at Batson and Associates. And one of the things I like the blood analysis for, because the thing is, if you come to us and we do the blood analysis and we realize that something is up, we would make reference, especially if we see high levels of inflammatory response, which you can usually see visibly from a sample, someone trained in integrative hematology, that type of thing. But what it also gives us the opportunity to do is look at what is known as biological terrain.
Right. And
for me, in blood analysis, I remember the first time, 15 years ago, when I started doing blood analysis, that's one of the things that I was always amazed by, because it actually gave you an indication of inflammatory response in the body.
Yes.
And we know that inflammation is the root cause of all disease. When you look at inflammatory diseases, like, for example, things like lupus, even diabetes falls in the category of an autoimmune condition, arthritis, fibromyalgia, then you have various aspects, connective skin tissue disorder, a number of different issues. We know usually from the blood analysis that gives us an indication of high oxidative stress, high breakdown taking place in the body.
Yes.
When you see that, that is also an indication of that individual, it could be easy for them to actually have issues with cancer.
Yes.
Because with that high level of oxidation, we know that the immune system is not functioning as it should. And as a result of that, I always tell persons, any form of cancer you're dealing with is actually an issue or malfunctioning of the immune system. Because once the immune system is functioning properly, cancer cannot, exist or continue to exist in the body. Right? So, with that being said, it's just a matter, again, keep in mind, those of you listening on 106.5 FM, that blood analysis and magnetic resonance analysis scan is something that you could actually book. We do have walk-in clinics, of course. But keep in mind, if your intention is to do that test, or those tests rather, that you should fast for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, in order for us to get, the information, as much information as we would like. So again, those telephone numbers, you can feel free to give us a call or visit. That number for the Shogunas office is 222-8261. That's Debe is the corner of Ramsey Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. The number for Debe is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. And of course, St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That number for St. James is 220-8113, 220-8113. And Tobago, of course, is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That number is 226-4553. Again, that's 226-4553. You're listening to Dr. Jason Batson, the Senior Medical Director at Batson and Associates, and of course, joined with one of our very seasoned blood microscopist, senior medical consultant, Mr. Stefan Vialva. And of course, we're discussing health. Keep in mind, again, as I said, it is interactive. So, don't waste the opportunity. If you have any questions or, any issues that you would like answered, and without giving out too much information, please feel free to do so. And of course, we have third base. Sorry, we have a question, sir?
We have two questions.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
two questions here, all right?
Okay.
How can you help one with severe kidney stones?
Okay, kidney stones. Well, there are a number of things that we can do for someone who has kidney stones. What a lot of persons don't take into consideration, I think, is that you have different types of kidney stones. You have calcium stones, uric acid stones, magnesium, cystic stones as well, and combinations. So it's like about 5 different types of stones. The thing is, each of those stones, whether it's calcium, whether it's uric acid, cystic, is given an indication as to what could be the cause of it.
That's right.
Right? So I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit here.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
All right. So out of the number of stones that Dr. Batson would have just discussed, one of the most, well, actually two of the most common is uric acid and calcium oxalate.
Right.
Now, calcium oxalate stones can be caused by an intake of inorganic calcium, which comes from cow's milk. All right. And some forms of pharmaceutical drugs like coral calcium, calcium caltrate, and so forth. So when you use those type of medication, the inorganic nature of the supplement do not disintegrate or break down properly to go inside of the bones.
Correct.
So it stays in the kidneys, well, the medulla of the kidneys via filtration, and it calcifies and causes a renal calculi to develop.
Right.
All right. And that causes the kidney stone, which is very, very, very painful because the kidneys then will then start to contract consistently. And that is what causes that pain via contraction.
Correct.
All right. So what you have to do, of course, change your diet. Use organic type of calcium like goat's milk, of course, which is alkaline for the human body as well. You can also use freshly squeezed coconut milk, almond milk, and so forth, which is plant-based. Drink a lot of water. That is imperative here. All right.
Definitely. Yeah, and just to reiterate, and based on what you said, at Batson Associates, even with the Santulan, because having dealt with a number of persons with kidney stones, we want those stones to break up. Most importantly, they can come as fine as possible and actually pass out of the system, as opposed to if they're very large and jagged, those fellas going to cut going through there.
Right.
So as Mr. Vialva mentioned, a lot of water is important. You're looking at the diet, and there are specific, because we do carry a kidney tea at Batson and Associates. We also have a kidney cleanse as well, that we do have, that could also help successfully in that particular situation. So again, that number you can call 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Next question, sir.
All right, next question. I'm a 50-year-old. I had 2 strokes back in 2020. Also diabetic.
Right.
Is it too late for me?
No, man. Once you're breathing, I wouldn't consider it too late. I mean, I don't know the type of strokes you have, because you have various type of strokes: hemorrhagic, ischemic, and I don't know in terms of your mobility or what was the reaction of the 2 strokes in terms of which part of the body it affected. So if your mobility is affected, your speech is affected, whatever the case may be. I mean either way, we can improve the situation, because if you're a diabetic already, then it means you want to ensure that diabetes is being managed and dealt with properly. to prevent you from actually getting additional strokes, because strokes are like earthquakes. They do have aftershocks, and usually the aftershocks, sometimes this could be actually a larger earthquake, or in other words, a worse stroke. What I have experienced, Mr. Vialva, and I've told persons this, one of the tests that we do when we do the blood analysis as well, you mentioned something quite a very key point there. And that key point is, it gives us a key indicator of circulation. And that's very important. And that's something that, and that's why I always tell persons as a practitioner, if they take all the piece of equipment away from me, everything, give me a microscope. I could definitely do my work quite successfully with a microscope, because of our ability to really read blood and understand what you're looking for, your red corpuscles, whatever the case may be. You visibly what a sample is supposed to look like. As it relates to poor circulation, I remember dealing with a client who came to us and they had problems, but they didn't realize how bad the circulation was. And it's only when we did the blood analysis where we were actually seeing that pattern of what we call erythrocyte aggregation, red blood cells, so that aggregation or sticking together is what is going to be problematic. So it means that it's very easy for someone like that to end up with a stroke, whether it's hemorrhagic, ischemic. What the audience needs to understand as well is that there are incidences known as mini strokes, which are known as TIAs, which are transient ischemic attacks.
That's right.
So when you have gotten a stroke, most likely that is not the first stroke that you would have gotten. That's the first stroke that you know about. But most of the time, if a CT of the brain is done, if an MRI is done, they would actually see ischemic lesions in the brain, which would give an indication that, strokes would have happened before. So that is something that we could deal with quite successfully. Again, especially if you are diabetic, the management of the diabetes is very important, because diabetes significantly increases the likelihood of stroke, because of how diabetes significantly undermines the cardiovascular system, the circulatory system, the central nervous system as it relates to diabetic neuropathy. Even things like bleeding behind the eyes, again, is an indication of poor circulation. So if you're listening to this program and you really want help, you're in a situation where you may be diabetic, but you have problems with pins and needles, cramping in your cars, burning on their feet, your vision is beginning to give you problems, then, give us a call. Because I always tell persons, the only people do the same thing over and over and expect a different results, is mad people. That's what Einstein said. That's the height of insanity. So you have to look at what is it that you're doing that is not working, or what it is you need to correct that you're not correcting. And again, that's where Batson and Associates comes in, because it's not a matter of dealing, with the symptomology, which is the stroke or the hypertension or the diabetes or the migraine headaches or the irregular menstrual cycle or the painful menstrual cycle or the constipation or the elevated blood sugar. All those are symptomologies of a greater problem. What is the greater problem? Where did this issue originate? And most importantly, how do we correct it? Right? And that's what we do at Batson and Associates.
And Dr. Batson as well, and to the listeners, as it relates to the TIA that you would have mentioned, which is
right.
any stroke, it could also have reoccurrence several times.
Correct.
So what persons have to do, especially because the diabetic, is to nourish the neurological aspect of the body by using B vitamins. We also have a very potent product by the name of NutriForce that you could also use as well. And it's very cost effective, and you use it during the day and in the night as well to just keep proper nourishment of the neurological system.
Definitely. There's also a product we carry at Batson Associates called Optimizer, which actually helps to increase blood flow to the brain. But what it also does is that it helps with intracranial pressure. And a lot of persons do not know that intracranial pressure is pressure in the cerebral hemisphere, or the brain itself. There are some persons who may be diagnosed as having glaucoma, which is high ocular pressure in the. I have never met anyone with glaucoma that didn't have a circulatory problem.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, that is something to be very mindful of. And you could, again, as I said, give us a call or visit. We also carry a product called Nerve Restore. That's one of my favorites, because it actually helps in relaxing the body, reducing cortisol. So in turn, it's going to actually reduce inflammation in the body. And it actually helps with that whole aspect of proper central nervous system function. So you find you tend to have a better quality of sleep. If you have any problems with depression, anxiety, you find that that situation is going to be much less than it was before because of the reduction or reducing cortisol in the body. So those are some things that you could always get some information on. You could always call or check us out on our social medias. Keep media pages, sorry. We are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. On YouTube, it's Batson and Associates Trinidad. And on TikTok, it's Batson and Associates. Keep in mind, too, our St. James clients, that number for St. James is 220-8113. That's 220-8113. And of course, you can also get us in the Shogunas office. That number for head office is 222-8261, 222-8261. And of course, WhatsApp is 314-9975. Again, that WhatsApp number. So maybe you're listening to the program, you're a little shy or your information a little too personal. You can actually send a message to the WhatsApp. That's 314-9975. Again, 314-9975. And someone would be able to get back to you.
Dr. Batson, I answer this question here from Mr. Lister. All right, so Mr. Lister, as it relates to the cow's milk, is cow's milk a good source of calcium or any type of animal milk rather? Okay, so cow's milk does carry calcium. However, because of the nature of the cow's milk today as compared to long ago, it's totally different. Not only from the calcium perspective, but also in terms of antibiotics and hormones injected into the animals to produce milk excessively for mass production. So that's why we always tell persons to stay away, because that could cause endocrine issues or hormonal problems going forward with the prostate of a man or female may get some issues in terms of their menstrual cycle and so forth. So the goat milk is a better source. It doesn't have any hormones, and it's also alkaline for the body. And the molecule particles are very minute, so it's very easy to digest as well.
Okay, very good, very good. Keep in mind again, that question came from our Facebook. So again, Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook, Instagram, Batson and Associates TT, and of course, any questions as regards to the blood analysis, the test. That number again for Shogunas is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Third base, sir. Any more questions?
Yes, there's a question here about thyroid. Can you deal with the thyroid?
Yes, we can. Let me just say quickly, thyroid problems have become a lot more prevalent now than when I started work. And so much so before you actually used to find that thyroid was something that affected more women than men.
That's right.
But now we have a lot more men experiencing issues with the thyroid. The reason why women tend to have a lot of problems with the thyroid is because, I mean, women on the whole, because of the nature of hormones and what they may go through, especially if they pregnancy, certain things, menstrual cycle, those type of things, you find that you can have some little issues there. As it relates to men now, what they realize now, because thyroid problems have been linked to iodine deficiency, other deficiency, things like selenium, zinc, and those type of things. But also it has been linked significantly to stress.
Yes.
Which is why you find a lot of women, especially during PMS. PMS is postmenopausal syndrome. You find a lot of women end up with problems with their thyroid. What is even more common and I find even more prevalent now is thyroid nodules, which we have successfully dealt with, in the past and even recently with clients who would bring their scans and where they'd actually see the nodules and different measurements, whatever. And then we work with the client, whether it's 6 months, 3 months, and then subsequent to that, they go and they redo the test, and we compare the nodules. In some cases, some have gone, some are much smaller, but that prevented them from actually having to do surgery to go in there. And because you see, the thing is, the surgeon may be well-meaning in what it is they have intentions of going and doing. I always tell people that, surgeons would not, and I put this in inverted commas, genuinely butcher someone. But what happens a lot of the times is that you see when they go in there, sometimes you have a lot of things fused together.
Yeah.
Like women, for example, you may have a problem with fibroids. You may have polycystic ovarian syndrome. You may have endometriosis, adenomyosis. But the thing is, okay, so you might have fibroids and you go to do a fibroid embolization, which is where they actually take out the fibroids themselves The myomectomies, I believe, when they actually cut the fibroid.
Partial. So it's not a total removal.
Removal.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I know one is actually when they cut the blood vessel leading to the fibroid, and then the next one is when they actually remove the fibroid itself, but they try to leave the womb intact.
That's right.
The problem is a lot of times is that when you go there now, because of what is going on with these fibroids, and you may have some scar tissue and adhesions, those things actually fuse together. So it's very difficult now for the doctors to say, well, okay, I need to take off this fibroid from on top of the uterus or wherever it's resting. It might reach a situation where they have to take out the entire uterus, which of course is something you don't really want. So that is just to help you to understand that a lot of times, ladies, especially when you have those issues, irregular menstrual cycle, painful menstrual cycle, you may be told that you may have gone on ultrasound, abdominal pelvic ultrasound, and you are told that you have fibroids. They may be small, but that is an indication that something is wrong. And if it is left unchecked, you're going to end up in some problems. So, as the old people say, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. There's a product we carry at Batson & Associates called Female Balance. Very, very successful product. And that actually helps in balancing the endocrine system. What is the endocrine system? That is the system that actually controls your hormones. So your endocrine system are your glands, thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, adrenals, and the list goes on. So that was a long way to say, yes, we do deal with thyroid problems. And, regardless of the problem, whether you have an issue with the thyroid stimulating hormone, you may have hypothyroidism, which is low thyroid function, or you may have hyperthyroidism, which is high thyroid function, or you may have thyroid nodules. You can feel free to give us a call or visit those numbers again for the Shogunas office, 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramsey Moat Trace and the SS Erie Main Road in Debe. That number is 223-7515. That's 223-7515. And of course, St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That number is 220-8113. Person standing by to take your calls. You can call and make your appointments or ask your necessary questions as regards to the products and services that we would have mentioned. So again, you're listening to Dr. Jason Batson, the Senior Medical Director at Batson & Associates. We are joined today with our Senior Consultant and Senior Blood Microscopist, Mr. Stefan Villalva, and we're discussing health from a natural and integrated perspective. Again, today, so do we have any questions? Hello? Okay.
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I asked you if we had any questions.
No more questions.
No more questions.
Feel free to call 627-3223, 625-2257, and feel free to WhatsApp us at 306-1065.
Okay, nicely. So, Stefan, let's go to what I call sometimes the white elephant in the room, which is our goodly male counterparts as regards to prostate health. I always tell persons, because recently, well, not recently, we have a lot of persons we're dealing with right now, prostate cancer, stage 4, stage 5. You may diagnose with prostatitis, which is infection of the prostate, which again is going to give you an elevated PSA in some instances. The prostate, and then you have BPH, which is benign prostatic hyperplasia. In your experience as regards to the blood analysis, again, magnetic resonance analysis, primarily blood analysis, what key indicators do you normally see as regards to, which would now prompt you to send the client to get additional testing, or, whether it we do CT, MRIs, whatever the case may be, where prostate health is concerned?
Okay, so as it relates to the blood analysis, one of the key indicators there is oval-shaped cells, which is an indicator of hormonal issues.
Right.
Now, what I do is that if it's in high quantity, I will then send persons. Of course, I will have consultations with them based on their lifestyle and stress levels and so forth, which affects the hormones as well.
Right.
But I would also, send them to do the PSA test based on the quantity of oval-shaped cells that I would see.
That you see there.
Because sometimes it may be present, but it's very low in quantity, and it could be because of stress that that person is going through at that time. It could be emotional and so forth.
Good.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to do the PSA at that time.
Right.
But once it's in high quantity, most definitely, I will send them to do the PSA. Once the PSA have a specific range, and it's supposed to range from 0 to 4.
Right.
So anything elevated 8, 9 going up the road, you know, I will then recommend the pelvic ultrasound and so forth to see the size of the prostate and so forth.
Okay. Right. In addition to that, you know, because again, keep in mind we are live on our social media platforms. We are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. Instagram is Batson and Associates TT. YouTube is Batson and Associates Trinidad, and TikTok is Batson and Associates. As it relates to, you know, arthritis, because that's one of the things too as well. So, you know, and one of the things before I go to arthritis, you know, it's always good for men to know that you don't necessarily have to do a digital exam, that uncomfortable exam that, you know, a lot of persons, because I think a lot of men don't check themselves out because they are a bit, you know, concerned about that, you know, examination.
Yes.
You know, and there are varying disagreements in medical quarters as regards to how effective that examination is. But I mean, I always tell people you cannot go wrong with an ultrasound, you know, CT, MRI, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I am not the greatest fan of biopsies. I that's something I do hide. In the professional quarters, I tell people I don't like them. I personally wouldn't have it done on me. Everybody else, you know, you don't really have much control over them, so they have a right to make their own decisions. You know, but it's in order to know what is exactly wrong, especially in that particular area, is very important, gentlemen, that you get yourself checked out. Because our prostate cancer figures are very alarming. And the thing is, you know yourself, if you know you wasn't a Boy Scout, as regards to certain things, you know, you may have been a lover of alcohol, you may have had some cigarettes, you might be was very popular with the ladies. So it's very important to check yourself out, fellas, you know. And as I said, you know, nothing is wrong with that. There are some people who are of the belief that if you don't know, then it is not bothering you. I disagree with that. I mean, mentally, when you find out about things, if you take it on mentally and emotionally, obviously, that could wreak more havoc on you. But it's always good to know, because the proverbial ostrich having their head in the sand, I mean, not because the ostrich is not seeing the danger around him doesn't mean the danger is not there, right? So, you know, gentlemen, that's just to say, you know, that they are non-invasive. There are tests where nobody doesn't have to touch you, you know, feel you up or anything like that, where you need to get yourself examined, gentlemen, because we're seeing it too much, especially in Tobago. When I work in Tobago, to me, has one of the highest rates of prostate cancer and BPH that I have ever seen anywhere else in the world that I have worked. It's a lot. It's a lot, fellas. So especially if you know, men, gentlemen listening to this program, you tend to eat a lot of meat, especially red meat. You might be a lover of, you know, the oink oink. You like your pigtail and pigfoot and whatever the case may be. You know, I'm not judging anyone, but you need to make sure and check yourself out, because the human body has basic rules that there are rules to certain things. Just like I gave the analogy, if you have a vehicle and your vehicle requires premium gas, you would not move the key from your brain, regardless of how much money you have, how tired you are, or wherever you are, to put other fuel in that vehicle. You would not put diesel in that car, because you'll have to leave it. It'll have to be towed, right? So there are things that we eat, there are things that we drink that are not really supposed to be in our bodies, you know?
Yes.
And the thing is, when you do that now, you cannot just, you know, it is not forgiven just like that. I'll give you an example quickly. I remember dealing with a client, and there was a program I was doing, and I said, don't feel that you could drink all the rum in the world, smoke all the cigarettes, do all what you do, and then just figure you could just stop and your body just forgive you. It don't work like that. There is a process to correct the damage that would have been done by those things, and a lot of people don't understand that. Okay, so that's something you need to pay very close attention to. And again, you can feel free to give us a call or visit Check us out again on social media. We are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. And all the information that we have discussed here, this video is actually, you can actually send it to someone. That number again for Shogunas is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Keep in mind our WhatsApp. So as I said, if you know your question a little private, or it might be something about prostate health. Ladies, it might be something about hormonal imbalance. You need to get some more information. You might require to speak to a female. We do have female consultants at Batson and Associates. So you can, of course, feel free to message. That's the 314-9975. Again, that's 314-9975. And again, that number for Shogunas is 222-8261. 222-8261. Third base, sir. Any more questions, sir?
Yes, sir. Swollen prostate, swollen prostate gland. Is there anything to do that approves swollen prostate with a number of, we have here 86.7?
86.7, that was 86.7 would have been what? His PSA? Did they indicate what the measurement was?
The BCCs.
Or had one little CCs? So that's what I was thinking, it had to be CCs. Yeah, man.
That's from the ultrasound.
From the ultrasound, yeah. Yeah, we could deal with that, man. There's actually a client that we have. When they came to us, they were 200, and I remember this distinctly, yeah? They were 200 and, it was 214. When we dealt with them for 6 months and we sent them back to do the ultrasound, it went down from 215, it went down to 150. And then then they did it over again. We moved from 150. Right now, I think currently we down to about 114. The urologist was like, nah, that's impossible. But no, that's not impossible. You see, the thing is, when you have any swelling taking place in the body, it is a key indicator of inflammatory response.
That's right.
People know inflammation is the root cause of all disease. I kid you not. There is no way. If you have blocked arteries is inflammation in your cardiovascular system. You have arthritis. Arthritis is inflammation in your musculoskeletal system. You have asthma. Asthma is as a result of inflammation in the respiratory system, your lungs and the alveoli, all those things. So the thing is, inflammation always has to be present, especially in excessive amounts, in order for sickness to take place. And even for cancer to exist. Look, even, and Mr. Villalba, you'll be quite aware of this. When your ESR is very high, your erythrocyte sedimentation ratio, or your C-reactive protein, both of those measure inflammation in the body.
Yes.
But it is also an indicator of cancer too, because if your ESR is over 100,
yeah,
which we have dealt with persons like that, it means that you are a perfect candidate for cancer, because the immune system is so compromised that's very easy for you to end up with a cancer situation. And regardless, the cancer will just be in the body where the part of the body that is the weakest.
yes.
So if you have gastrointestinal problems, if you're going to get colorectal cancer or gastrointestinal cancer. If it's in the case of ladies, you may have a breast problem, you may not drink sufficient amounts. Problems with lumps in the past, which may not have been cancerous lumps, because most women get what is known as these fibrin, what they call it, boy, those fibrostic breasts, where you actually have the lumps are actually like fibrin, very hard.
Yes.
Yeah, but those are non-cancerous. But the thing is, if you have a history of that, then the person, and let's say you had 2 lumps in the past or 3 lumps, then the 4th one might be cancer, because you already have high levels of inflammation in the body. Pancreatic cancer, which we know is one of the hardest and most difficult cancers to deal with, is also one of the most fatal.
Yes.
Is again a key indicator of immune system imbalance.
Yes.
Remember also, 70% of your immune system lies in your digestive tract, your gut.
Yes.
Your gut is referred to as your second brain, There is something known as leaky gut syndrome. Before we continue, I'll just and I'll allow Stefan, he could maybe just expound on it a little bit. So again, keep in mind those telephone numbers and locations. We are located in Shogunas number. That's for head office. That could give you access to any of the other offices. That number is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Keep in mind our WhatsApp, 314-9975. That's 314-9975. Keep in mind we do have open clinics. So you don't necessarily have to have an appointment. You can walk in, but keep in mind, if you have intentions of doing that test package, which is your live blood, dry blood, magnetic resonance analysis scan, that is, you're going to have to fast for 1.5 to 2 hours. So if, you're sick and you don't know what's wrong with you, it have that type 2 Stefan.
Yes.
Yeah, all kind of thing wrong with you, to the point where the doctor, and I tell them, they give you a dustbin diagnosis. What is the dustbin diagnosis? That's when you go and they test every single possible test they could do. They do MRI, CT scan, they do blood tests, and you feeling sick, but the doctor is telling you they didn't see anything. Come to Batson and Associates. We will see for you. I could guarantee you that. I don't give much guarantees, but that I could guarantee you. In about 10 minutes, we'll tell you what is wrong with you. Because the blood is the greatest witness. Your blood, let me tell you something, your blood will sell you out. Your blood tells past, present, and future.
It's a river of life.
River of life, definitely. So again, just quickly as it relates to
leaky gut syndrome.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what basically leaky gut is? Leaky gut. So in the small intestine, which is the duodenum, there is a lining of protection which is made up of epithelial cells. And those epithelial cells has little junctions in between them, which is made up of proteins. That protein is to prevent any toxins or waste product from entering into the bloodstream directly.
Good.
Okay. But because of the use of an unhealthy diet, which consists of dairy, cow's milk in this case, sugar, and also the use of antibiotics and certain medication, it creates an imbalance in the digestive tract there.
Right.
So the microbiome, which is the healthy flora or good bacteria, they tend to be, it's destroyed and they have absence there.
Right.
And it damages the junctions of proteins between the epithelial cells.
Nicely.
So it then creates an opening or gap in between that area there. Right. So when toxins or waste products starts to enter between that gap, it triggers an immune inflammatory response. Okay. And that triggers, of course, inflammation is what basically causes most gastrointestinal issues.
Of course.
Like ulcerative colitis and IBD and IBS and all of those.
Diverticulitis.
Correct. So persons then start having more of a liquidity type bowel movement, which is diarrhea.
Right.
As soon as they eat something, they have to go to the washroom.
Right.
So they tend to have malabsorption eventually, which is where the muscles kind of absorb or use proteins to synthesize properly and so forth. So they lose mass, adipose tissue is then affected, and all of those things. So at Batson Associates, what I would also recommend for persons to use, we have a very, very good product by the name of Inflammation Formula, which will reduce that inflammatory response. Yeah. In addition to that, that persons also need probiotics to increase the microbiome again. Right. And they also
Good. Excellent. Professor answer there, man. So you see, so that in itself is a key issue why it have so many sick persons. I always tell persons, especially when you're looking at autoimmune, and as you so rightfully said, with inflammatory bowel conditions like Crohn's, irritable bowel syndrome, whatever the case may be. Okay, good. So it's now 1:58, so our time is almost close to being up. To base, do we have any questions again, sir?
Yes, one more question. Okay. Doc, I'm a 50-year-old. I did not get a cycle for about 2.5 months. I got it this month, and I feel very hot at nights. I have fibroid. Any advice for me?
Okay. Well, the thing is, if you had a history of hormonal imbalance, the possibility exists. It may not necessarily be menopause, but it could just be hormonal imbalance. So we would have to get some sort of consultation there to let you know exactly what is going on, and if we have to send you for additional tests, whatever the case may be. But definitely there's an indicator that something is wrong, and it needs to be addressed. Okay, so again, you can feel free to give us a call or visit. Keep in mind those telephone numbers. We are located on the first floor of Money Talks building. That is Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. Telephone number 222-8261, 222-8261. Debe is Ramson Moon Trace and the SS Erin Main Road. That number is 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That number is 220-8113, 220-8113. And Tobago is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That number is 226-4553. You have been listening to Dr. Jason Batson, the Senior Medical Director at Batson and Associates, and my esteemed colleague, Mr. Stefan Vialva, Senior Medical Consultant and Blood Microscopist at Batson and Associates. As we always say at Batson and Associates, if you think health is expensive,
try sickness.
If you think education is expensive,
try ignorance.
To the listeners of Freedom 106.5 FM, thank you very much for your time. Do enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Third base, sir. Always a pleasure, sir. Till next week. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much. You've been listening here to Batson and Associates Holistic Health right here on Freedom 106.5.
In the air, 6 introducing the Inside Edge, a brand new cricket show.
Very good, very good. So, social media, well, you all know what's going on there, right? So, to all our social media family, it's always a pleasure to have you guys. We just need to take a little break because we have a program for hour again. We'll be joining DJ Mamu on djmamuradiott.com, and that program is from 2:15, anywhere around 2:15, 2:20 to 3:15, 3:20. So, God bless, guys, and stay tuned until next program.
Take
care.
Have a blessed day.